Hello, welcome to the Assist Payroll product demonstration. Today we'll spend time looking at the Payroll module. The Payroll module is one of several integrated applications within the financial family. Under the Payroll tab, we'll go ahead and select that. The menu structure is set up just like the other products. So activities that you're going to do on a daily basis, those will be under the Daily tab. We have a separate tab for periodic, and we'll cover this today, but this is where you're going to process your payroll, you're going to do your reporting, submit your W-2s. All those activities are under the periodic tab. We'll take a look at some of the reports. The system keeps unlimited history, so you can rerun payroll reports from any payroll run. We'll take a look at that. The system also has a set of inquiries, and you can look up payroll information. And the very last tab is something called Tables, and this is where you're going to set up your organization's unique codes, things like your pay types, your deductions, your benefits, your taxes, and we'll cover that as well today. So let's take a look under the Employee Setup, the information that you can track on your employees. Once again, if you know part of the name, the department, or part of the social, you can look that employee up. So let's select Paul. On one screen, you're going to be able to see everything about this employee. A couple of key things before we look at the payroll information is, if you look at the toolbar, this is like any other Microsoft product, so the navigation is identical. You can also log a support call right in the software. You simply say help, and it's going to bring up, it knows you're in payroll, the system knows you're on the daily tab, and you're setting up employee information. You simply type in the question and you submit the call, and we call you back. This is one way you can do a support call. You can also call us and we call you back, and if you have a quick question, you can also chat immediately to get that question answered. So 3 different ways to get help on the payroll module. Now, this first tab here tells me information about the employee. You've got their key information such as their address, their phone number, their email address. Under the first tab, you've got things such as what department do they work in, their location. You can also set up a template. So for those employees that you have similar records, like your part-time summer workers, your utility guys, you can set up default records, so it's really quick and easy to set up employees because it defaults things like how they're paid, what deductions, what benefits, pay types, leave records, and we'll look at that as well. We also support all the payroll frequencies, so you can have different payrolls and have different frequencies. So if you've got a biweekly payroll and you also have a quarterly, the system supports that. In addition, there are 6 user definable fields on this first tab that you can define drop-down options. So I haven't set those up, but you can easily set those up to track additional information. We also keep track of in case of emergency. Now, under the History tab, this is where you can keep track of key dates such as birth date, hire date, review date, and on these you do have unlimited text, so you can track a lot of really good information. You can also have history notes and additional notes, so lots of places in the software to track key information. On the Accounting tab, the system does a nice job of breaking out the pay. You've got a couple of different options. One is you can set up all the accounts and allocate their time by percentages. You can also set up several different accounts, and it might be different based on hours worked. So when you enter in the time, you're actually telling it how many hours for what area. So in the scenario where you've got workers, 8 hours out of the water fund and 10 hours out of the sewer fund, it'll handle that and do all the accounting. And as you saw earlier in the financial demo, you can drill down to the detail. So when you look up the account in the general ledger, you can see what specific employees make up that interface. So we'll take a look at that as well. The system does include direct deposit. You can have a direct deposit set up so that you can have so much going into one account and then additional dollars in another. You can do it by percentage. So several different ways and several different files that you can directly deposit this check into. So the employees that are set up for direct deposit, the system will email a check stub or you can also print it. Now in the payroll application, we also have attachments. This is a perfect place to attach maybe a certification. Maybe there's an application they filled out. So just like the other applications, you can scan and attach PDFs, videos, Word files. So anything you can attach in an email, you can attach here as a document, and there is no limit to the number of attachments. If this employee did have an attachment, there would be a paper clip here so you would know visually there are attachments. Now, without having to leave this screen, you can come up here and you can look at their taxes, their pay types, the deductions, the liabilities, benefits, and leave records. So in the payroll module, everything is unlimited. There is no limit to the number of pay types, deductions, benefits. Once you select the record, this is where you're telling the system the unique information for this employee, what their status is, do they have any extra exemptions, any special additional withholdings, and then there's a table that's going to tell the system how to calculate it. So there is no limit to the number of taxes. If you do need to change a tax rate, it's really easy to do. Now up here you can also look at the pay types. In this example, this employee's got 5 different pay types. So if you want to take a look at each one, but on one check, you can have as many different types of pay. So for those employees that do lots of different jobs or pay different rates, it can all go on the same check, even though it's coming out of different funds. But this is where you're telling it the specific information on this type of pay for this employee. Same thing with deductions. You can have unlimited deductions. So you can have things that you take out and lots of different ways to calculate how you take out this deduction. It might be just a flat dollar amount. It may be a fixed percentage. It may be based on another user definable field or another rate of pay. So really flexible on setting up the deductions. You can also have deductions come out, for a date range. Take it out the first 6 months of the year. We also have an interface so that if you're using our accounts payable module, we have an interface so that we can actually create those payables as a result of doing the payroll run. So it's going to look at the deductions and the benefits, and it creates the payables. So let's say you do a weekly payroll run. It'll create those payables, but maybe you just want to pay that vendor once a month. It'll grab all those invoices and create one check in accounts payable. Same thing if you look at the liabilities. So it handles all the accounting, tracking the liabilities. It keeps history. Same thing on benefits. It handles unlimited benefits. You might have a situation, parts of deduction, parts of benefit, you can handle that. And like I said, if you've got the interface, it will create those payables. You can have fixed amounts, and you can set up the different flexibility. You can have maximums as well. Now, in addition to doing payroll, it also handles leave. You can set up different types of leave, like sick time, vacation time, and the system will automatically accrue the time. So if you, let's say for instance, you get 2 weeks in the year, it's going to automatically accrue that vacation time or sick time automatically. The system also keeps track of, you tell it when they use the time, and it maintains that balance. You can even have the leave information print on the payroll stub. So there are no limits to the number of types of leave. You can have plans set up where you've got employees that's been there 20 years may get 4 weeks versus somebody you just hired that gets 2 weeks. So you can have all those different combinations. You can even have it start accruing after a certain point, and you can also have maximum amounts that you can carry forward. So lots of flexibility. We do have some customers that actually they don't accrue time, but they start with a balance. The system can still maintain that balance because you're telling it when they use it. So 2 different ways that you can set your time up. But once again, you're able to see everything on this employee on this one screen. So we didn't have to leave the screen. As I mentioned earlier, we can set up templates. So let's say you hire a new employee. You're just basically going to enter in their specific information. You pick which template, and it's going to create those records for you. So it really makes it fast and easy to set up new hires. Now that we've got our employee information set up, something else that you might do on a daily basis or under the daily tab is enter in your payroll time. And when you do the time, you're going to pick which group do you want to enter in your time for. And what you have is one screen so that you can quickly get all the time or all the changes entered into the system. Here's an example of some changes that you might have. You might have an employee on one check. These are the different 4 types of pay. You can tell the system I had 8 hours of holiday, I had 2 hours of overtime, I had 32 hours of vacation. So you can tell the system all the different hours for all the different types of pay. So that could be a change. Other things you might do, you might want to override where the pay is going in the general ledger. So you may want to send it to a different department or a different fund. And remember, for the guys that you've got set up by percentages, it'll do that for you automatically, but you can override that. We have some clients that actually set up grants and projects, and in addition to sending journals to the projects and payables and purchase orders, you can also account for time. So if you have, for instance, one of those DARE grants and the police officer is in the classroom, you can track that time, and when you run the project, it's going to pick up the payroll time as well. Now, another option that I haven't turned on is something called machine time, but you can actually set up a piece of machinery, maybe a lawnmower or a snow blower, that has an hourly rate, and you can keep track that Joe was on that machine for 2 hours, and it'll create a journal entry and hit the accounting. So that's a feature we have. It's all included. You can turn it on if you want. But essentially what you're doing here is you're getting your time entered into the system. Now, we do have some clients that actually use a timekeeping machine. So we've got a couple that we work with, but we can actually bring in electronic time if that's something your organization is looking at. But if not, you can very quickly get in the changes so that you can go on to do your payroll run. And that's going to happen under the periodic tab. So what you would do is you would select Process Payroll, and you're going to pick your group. And it's going to walk you right down the list. So you'll select your group. You've already told the system all the changes. It's going to calculate. It's going to print some reports. Now, if you are doing a direct deposit, it creates a file you to send to the bank. And then if you want the employees to get an email of the check stub, the emails go out. You can also obviously print those. Now, if you've got a special payroll run, maybe you want to put a note on the check, or maybe it's a special run where you don't want to accrue time, there's certain things that you can turn on or turn off for this one payroll run. So once again, very flexible, easy to use, once you get your time entered in. Now, other things that you might do here, if you do need to reprint checks, you can. Or if you need to recreate that file you send to the bank. We also have an easy process. If you do need to void a check, it works pretty similar to how we do it in accounts payable. Now, it will post to the general ledger, and I'm going to show you really quick. If we look up, let's look up an account and see how something came in from payroll in the general ledger. It's tightly integrated. So if I want to come down here and look and see, oh, here's one. Let's look at this interface. So it's going to create all these entries for you. So it's breaking out all that time, all the funds. You set up the accounting. It does a great job with the accounting. And because we can drill down to the detail, you can see the employees. So it's all right here. The accounting is taken care of, and you can drill down and see the specific employees for any payroll run. So once again, that's one of the benefits of getting both the accounting and the payroll. Now, going back to the periodic process, other things you might do here, one is, as I said, we've got an interface, so if you want to create those payables, it already knows the vendors, it knows the amounts, so you're not having to rekey that into the accounts payable. We do the W-2s. We maintain it at that level, so if there are changes. In Canada, obviously, we do the T4s. Other things you might do periodically, you might need to do an across-the-board change. Maybe the rates have gone up by a percentage, so you can change everybody by a percentage that has a certain rate. We also have the ability, if you want to make a change retroactive. Let's say, as an example, the council approved a change in January, and here it is August, and it's finally officially approved. So you can actually go back to January, and it's going to pick up that change. So this payroll run will make that retroactive. So it'll automate that process for you. Now, under reports, we have a ton of reports. One of the features I really like about our system is when you run on most payroll systems, when you run a payroll, you better save the reports because you can't get back to the information. With our system, I can literally go to any payroll run for any year, and I can rerun the payroll. I can see, how did I calculate? Where did it go in the GL? So I've got that breakout. I can see things like, break it down by department. So it's very easy to rerun the reports that created any payroll run. So 10 years from now, you've got the data. Also, under the reports, we do the 940s, the 941s, W-2s. We also have built into the payroll module, we have a report generator. So you can look at, we have 3 different flavors of reports. Most are under activity, but we have reports that deal with just the general ledger, setting up the system. But under the activity reports, there's a lot of different reports, and we'll go in and take a look at some of the examples. On all of these different reports, just to give you an idea, you're going to be able to pull out reports on all those categories: deductions, benefits, how you pay employees. You're going to be able to pull it out quarterly, year to date. You can do it by employee. You can do it by code. So all those different things that you're tracking, you can keep track of how many hours that were worked. You can pull out reports on the liabilities, on how you pay employees. So just the list goes on and on. Lots of reports. We have quarterly unemployment reports, tax reports, vacation reports. So all these reports are available. You can also, in addition to selecting, we have a built-in report writer. So you could say, well, give me just this one department, or maybe for wages over this certain dollar amount. So all those odd requests you get, you can run filters and pull out exactly what you want. And in addition, all these reports can also be emailed. You can print it to a PDF or put it in Word or Excel. So just like the other applications, you've got that integration with Microsoft. Now let's take a look at some of the inquiries. The first one here is, let's take a look at balances. Let's say you have an employee and somebody's calling and they're wanting to verify, maybe payment. You can see, what did you pay this guy Q1? Or maybe you want to go down here and get year to date. So depending on, you can look at quarters, you can look at year to date. But you're able to do that for all of these codes. You might want to know just taxes. You might want to run and take a look at how many hours he's worked. And you can also look at their leave. So all those categories, you can look at it by quarter or year to date very quickly. Now we also have the ability to look up essentially an employee's check stub. So if I want to look at Paul, I can see these are all the checks that I've sent to Paul. I could go down here to any one of these and drill down and see what was on the check stub. We're in Windows. I can copy and paste this. I can email this. So really easy to look up the information to get to the detail. We also have one screen that you can see everything about any particular employee. So I can very quickly see, how am I paying this guy? What's the frequency? Is it active? I can see taxes. I can see deductions. I can see benefits. I can see all of the liabilities, and I can also see leave. So very quickly I can get to any record on this inquiry. Now from here down to here, you can look up things like, who has this pay type? Who has this deduction? I might want to find out, who has overtime. These are the employees that are subject. So I can quickly get lists depending on what I'm looking for. Now tables, this is where you're going to actually get started. This is where you're defining things like your types of pay, your deductions, your benefits. There's some things that you can set up at the organization level. What do you want to print on the check stub? There's some yes/no options. You can decide, do you want to post in detail? Most do, because you like to see those employees. Do you want it to automatically post? Anything coming into the general ledger, you can say direct post, I know it's good, or I'd like to look at it and then post. You can make decisions on, are you going to use project accounting? So certain little things that you can set up, whether or not you want to do machine time. And here are those 5 user definable fields that I haven't even set up, but you can set up. So we do have a service called a Go Live service, and what it is, it's interactive with you, and we're getting all the tables set up with you so that it's calculating correctly, and then setting up employees, teaching you how to do that, all the way through generating your payroll run, the reports. So we're with you for one flat fee until you're live. So once again, that's our main goal, is to get you live. Support is, it's unlimited calls, it's updates, it's enhancements, so that you're always getting the latest and greatest. So thank you for attending. If you'd like to learn more, certainly you can give us a call or visit our website, but I do appreciate you attending the product demonstration.